We're going to start off with a $7.7 billion deal that the UFC has struck with Skydance and Paramount for their entire, well, I'm not going to say their entire domestic rights because there are still some lingering UFC properties, but the bulk is all going to Paramount, that being the numbered UFC events and 30 fight night cards. This deal had started where Paramount was just talking about the 30 fight night cards. And then when the merger between Paramount and Skydance was finalized last week, this deal for the pay-per-views came together in about 48 hours. And it's an enormous deal for the UFC. As I mentioned, $7.7 billion over the term of this deal, which is 7 years. So an average annual value of $1.1 billion, which is weighted towards the back end of the deal. But like this works out to be over $25 million per event. Like some of these fight night cards are technically worth $25.5 million.
Dude, that's insane.
They have no excuse to run any more cards in that Apex if they're getting $25 million.
They have no excuse to pay what they're paying their fighters.
We'll talk about that. There are definitely some losers in this, and guess what, folks? It's the fighters once again who again get zero of this. And where this is going to be very interesting is your top tier fighters, the select few that have pay-per-view points built into their deals. They are out of pay-per-view. That is the headline from all of this, not just the incredible amount. They're more than doubling their rights from ESPN. They're getting their billion that they had thrown out there that everyone thought was very ambitious. They're getting their billion plus a year, but they're also getting out of the pay-per-view industry because now it costs you roughly $1,100 to subscribe to ESPN Plus in the US and buy all of the pay-per-views on a yearly basis. Now they are moving to Paramount Plus, where your subscription will get you all of these UFC events. So you're talking, if you get the ad tier on Paramount Plus, again, this is a US deal. This does not affect worldwide yet. It's $60 a year for the ad tier. You can go premium for $120 a year. So if you are a UFC fan, if you're even a casual UFC fan, it makes Paramount Plus a total must-have now, and you're selling at a dramatically reduced amount than what you had been spending.
Of course, we have to add for now because price
for
increases
now, but
are bound
even
to
so, Peacock just increased their price by $3. Let's say they increase this by $10, dude. You're still saving. You're saving over $1,000, and they're not raising their prices $1,000. So
right.
the UFC fan is a big winner from this deal because you're saving an incredible amount. For the top end fighters, I would certainly be looking at like how like this is much when WWE switched to the WWE network. Like what's going to happen to our pay-per-view bonuses at that point? That was a source of contention for CM Punk. I know of other wrestlers that that was definitely a concern of theirs. And my guess, we will see what happens, obviously, is it's going to be the UFC's discretion of what they pay. Like they could take all this and just, hey, we're making so much more money. We could raise the floor for all of our fighters. We could do that, but margins. I mean, they are going to be a like grossly profitable business instead of just being an obscenely profitable business. So this all goes into effect January the 1st. It's also going to give Paramount an exclusive negotiating window for the overseas rights when UFC deals come up. So it's not like, certainly in Canada, they have just begun this deal with Sportsnet. They began it last year, but when that deal's up, like there's nothing to prevent Paramount from trying to get the Canadian rights or get the rights in other regions. This is a massive move by Paramount Plus to, first of all, it's a deal that is absolutely insane. They will need 7 million new subscribers who will sign up and stay subscribers for the entire year to bear this out. Like this is a move by Paramount Plus. Like this is a gigantic loss leader, but it's stating that, hey, we want to grow and be one of the not Netflix, but the level below of that level of streaming service. And they have invested heavily. Like they just completed the South Park deal. And this caught a lot of people on Wall Street, analysts. This caught everyone by surprise because no one pegged the entire package to be going to one place. It was thought that ESPN would carve out a piece, Netflix would be in the game, and instead Paramount Plus came and just obviously just blew them away to get the pretty much the entire package.
So much of this conversation, I think we could apply to the conversations we've had when the WWE initially moved off of pay-per-view and onto the network. What concern is there of the UFC that they are going to now essentially value their products, their monthly pay-per-views at what? As low as how much? $8?
Dude, it's like it could be as low as $8 a month that you pay for the ad tier, and you get the UFC pay-per-views every month. G1 Climax season continues on the Post Wrestling Cafe as we march toward the final on August 17th. Every single match in the tournament will be covered. Plus, we're going back to 2001 for a review of the King of the Ring, featuring Kurt Angle taking on Shane McMahon and Edge winning the tournament. Plus, John and Wai are going to be reviewing all episodes of the WWE Unreal series on Netflix. Ask Away, Post Pro Res, Collision Course, so much more can be found monthly at postwrestlingcafe.com.
So
at
once
most, you're paying
out,
$13 a month. Oh,
you're out. You're done,
and
right?
And this was such an interesting aspect today. If you were following, they sent out Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro, and separately Dana White was doing interviews as well on several outlets. They did not have their messaging in sync. They, first of all, you have Mark Shapiro, and they're just pushing the fact that pay-per-view is an antiquated model. Pay-per-view is something for, you know, the odd boxing fight that happens or movies. It's just an antiquated model. And they're pressing the fact that not only is this going to be on Paramount Plus, but there's going to be simulcasts on CBS, who have a history with MMA going back to Elite XC and Strikeforce. And then you have Dana White, who's stating that, and Mark Shapiro is stating that, you know, it could be as much as all of the UFC events are simulcast. Dana is stating, well, we're looking at 4 events that would be simulcast. And then you have Dana stating that, you know, he was not as definitive about pay-per-view being dead, whereas Shapiro and Ari were just like this antiquated model. It just very much sounded like they were sent out and they did not have their ducks in a row when it came to their messaging of all of this. So that's going to be a big question, is how many of these events are simulcast on CBS, because this was even brought up to Shapiro and Ari on CNBC of, if all of these events are simulcast on CBS, is that incentivizing you to get Paramount Plus if you can get all the major events on CBS? And that's just over the air broadcast.
Are we aware that Paramount isn't thinking about instituting some sort of pay-per-view model like that, like ESPN Plus currently has?
There's no way that this is coming out and they're going to introduce pay-per-view. Like, that's the selling feature here, is they're looking at building subscribers, even at a dramatic loss. You could have struck this deal and said that, hey, pay-per-views are now going to be capped at $30. I mean, that would at least alleviate some of the costs. Like, the thing with Paramount Plus is that they've been trying to get their losses down. And then this deal, like, that kind of blows it all up. So today you saw the Paramount stock take a real hit, while the TKO stock went up a huge amount. They went up like almost $16 today. So this was great for TKO, and for Paramount, it's, you know, they are looking to build something, but in order to do that, they are spending an exorbitant amount for this deal. And I think the long term is just taking this service that has about 77 million subscribers and growing it and becoming more of a player than Paramount Plus is at present.
TKO, over the course of the past week, has just made probably some of the biggest announcements it's ever made in its short history.
They have now multi-billion-dollar deals with Netflix, with NBC Universal, with ESPN, and now with Paramount. These are all multi-billions.
So if this represents maybe the ceiling for what a sort of a monthly pay-per-view combat sports offering entails, well, what is the future ceiling of a WWE?
It's not this. At least I state that now, that I could. But you know what? You can't discount anything when it comes to where this industry is going.
I'm sure TKO wants it to be close as they can.
And frankly, as I say that, like if an Apple decided, hey, we're going to get very, very aggressive in sports, like they can outspend almost anybody, and they could disrupt the whole structure of some of these deals if they wanted to become a player in some of these free next couple of years. Like we're getting away from talking about these cable entities and more into your Apples and Amazons, that like Facebook and
the people with the most money.
Like that's where this is going, where you have this tech money that is going to be, if they're looking at like lucrative content and being in that business, like you could just see lots of escalation here. What's still outstanding is they have not announced anything for the Ultimate Fighter, Contender Series, the Road to UFC series. So those are technically still out there, as is Zuffa Boxing. That is kind of the last piece that TKO has. And then pretty much all their rights are solidified for years afterward. But I mean, overall, I would say, again, like if you're a UFC consumer, this is a great alleviator for you. And it also might, like, I have no doubt that with these UFC monthly pay-per-views, that there is a hell of a lot of streaming going on at such a cost. Do you kind of weigh the convenience factor of, I'm just going to pay for Paramount Plus, I get all this other stuff, and I don't have to be going through this arduous process every month to get a reliable stream like that? You might find some people that go that route. And on top of it, you're going to have more people than ever watching the biggest UFC events because of the scope. You're taking down that price barrier, and it's the same as WWE. Your biggest content is now going to be very, very accessible instead of having this $80 window on top of an ESPN Plus subscription attached to it.
Certainly, yeah. If you already subscribe to Paramount for whatever reason, maybe you're a South Park fan, well, if you hear people talking about the UFC, it's only a click away. You already have access to it. So answer me for this. This is a U.S. deal?
Yes.
What does it mean internationally?
What it means internationally is that, like, we're going to see part of what has been carved out here is that Paramount is going to get a 30-day exclusive negotiating window for every country's rights when they come up for renewal. So, like, we have Paramount Plus here in Canada. When the Sportsnet deal comes up, that means Paramount, they have an exclusive negotiating window. If they want to spend that and go after the Canadian rights, they're going to be the first in line to be able to bid on those. And like Paramount has, like, they have 77 million subscribers, and I believe that's the worldwide total. It's heavily concentrated in the US. So if you're looking at what is going to grow our international subscribers, maybe they're looking at the UFC as maybe not the only product that can sell internationally, but it's a key one that could help us in some of these other regions. So like this, in say 4 or 5 years, this could look a lot like Netflix, where they've got the international rights of WWE, and Paramount might get that aggressive. And if they see a lot of success in the US, go after other countries' UFC rights when they come up.
How long is this deal?
7 years, starting January 1st. Okay. So you do have this period now where you kind of have these, I don't want to call them lame duck pay-per-views, but I think it's going to be a little tougher for fans to spend $80 knowing that you're telling everybody that these are shows that are going to be drastically
But it's not like it's going to
reduced.
stop people from paying it, isn't it? Like, it's the only way you can watch these events still.
Right now they are, yes. And they've got a pay-per-view coming up this Saturday as well. But yeah, the CBS component is really big. Dana indicated that, you know, like that White House event, like that could end up airing on CBS. And it's going to be very interesting as well. Like you have CBS that have been attached to this whole Stephen Colbert deal and getting rid of him, which were for financial reasons. And then, of course, 7.7 billion on the UFC. There's definitely people looking at this like, is this going to embody kind of like what like CBS is attaching itself very heavily to a UFC product? And I mean, if you like, how much of that is going to be tied into the current administration, and knowing that those ties are like, they are as much embedded with UFC as you possibly could be.
How does this affect the sort of TKO portfolio in terms of like what is the most valuable part of its whole pie? At present, how profitable is the UFC compared to the WWE for them?
Well, now it's a case like once this deal goes into effect, like UFC will be making significantly more revenue when it comes to these media rights. Like it's a huge amount. And then there's the other aspects of this deal. Like if they have a regular presence on CBS, like they're going to have ads that they can sell on CBS. They get a portion of that. It's also a question, just getting away from like the revenue, but also what these cards are going to look like. Because basically now, yes, we call them numbered events and fight nights, but it's like they're all the same, essentially. Like you might earmark only a handful for CBS, and those are simulcast, but generally, these are all shows that are airing on the same platform for the same price, and you don't have that pressure of, and this has been alleviated on ESPN Plus as well during the ESPN era. It's not like the old days of pay-per-view where your revenue just was dictated month by month. But this is even more so the case. Like you have all this guaranteed revenue, and you don't need like 5 incredible main card fights on a quote unquote pay-per-view, which is no longer a pay-per-view. You can, it's also satisfying though your partner in Paramount Plus, who are spending an incredible amount of money. They want the biggest fights that are going to help promote people subscribing to Paramount Plus. But what are these cards even going to look like? Like there isn't like UFC 318 versus a fight night card. Like that differentiation is less so now.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they'll save championship fights maybe for one type of show versus another. Maybe make one shorter than the other. Don't know.
Yeah, but putting 2 title fights on a numbered event, like you don't have to do that. Like you can put one on a fight. Like it really does not matter in that sense. It's all going to be, what kind of, if you even have like a tiered system, like are people going to differentiate these numbered cards from fight nights? That'll be dictated by kind of the matchmaking you see on these cards as well.